That's it, very helpful. Very good. Yep. Thank you. Wendy, you're blocking the camera.
Hi, I'm Dom, and welcome to my workshop. Right, time for something a little bit different. I've got to make a sign for someone. I'm going to sign paint the sign on this lovely old piece of wood. Look at the back. I've got to say, this is not just any old piece of wood. We have got quite a bit of history together. I've had this in the workshop for probably about, maybe three years, maybe more. It used to be huge. It came off a boat. It was massive. And I've been using bits and cutting bits off, nicking a bit here, every time I need to make an old sign. Actually, I bet some of the repair shop signs, it must be one of them. I can't think now. I bet one of them is made from a section of this, and it's getting smaller and smaller. This is the last piece I've got. I'm going to use nearly all of it, unfortunately. I first used it on a set that I was working on for Belstaff. We went down to Dungeness. I brought my old BSA, a little Bantam, went down to the shingles down there, and it was brilliant. It was such a fun day. We built like a shack, like it was supposed to be like a kind of roadside shack with all like petrol cans and old bits of, engines and bits of stuff on the shelves, but a real lean-to sort of shanty looking shack. That's why my little BSA fitted in so well, because it looks like a wreck. So I painted this blue and all this yellow and the bits of red here. There was a lot more, it was the whole background. I painted those on there for that shoot, and I just couldn't bear to get rid of it. I just wanted to keep hold of it. I've got a rack in the corner of the workshop where I've got bits like this, old doors. I tend to keep a lot of old doors and panels and bits of wood, stuff that I don't know, something about it, it's very tactile. I just like it. I like keeping it and I like collecting it all. Times like this is when it becomes invaluable, because I need to make a sign and I can just go to my rack and I've got the perfect piece of wood. Well, actually, I say perfect. I don't think it is, because I need this to be 600 square and this is 500. So I'm 10 centimeters short, so I'm gonna have to cut a square, then cut another bit, piece of new bit on the end. We're basically going to make the backboard now, and then I'll get to painting it later. If you fancy giving something like this a go yourself, and you've got an old piece of wood, or you find an old fence or something like that, you've got to spend a bit of time at the start planning and just having a think. I've got these bars on the back, and it would be nice to use them, but it just doesn't quite work with the size that I need. So I'm going to take them off, cut this to what I need. There's a chance it's going to come apart and all be in pieces, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to get it back together, and then using these pieces in a different order, we'll remake it all to my 600 square. Million brands in here, and I think I may well be guilty for doing this. I think at one point I wanted this to be something else, so I pinned all these on. Now I'm regretting it. But this is the nature of working with old reclaimed materials. Look, I've got a broken screw there. It's going to take some time to clear it all up, but it will be worth it. Although I've ground those down just to get them out of the way, so now it's nice and smooth, I've got to remember where they are. I'll probably put a line or mark or something. If I hit one of those with my rail saw, it would just destroy the blade. So I need to be careful. The last thing you want to do is run through a load of nails like that with a saw. This is called a rail saw. And here's the rail. It's basically a circular saw. See like that? See, there's the blade there. That plunges up and down, and you can adjust that, so you can adjust how deep it cuts. Push down, run the cut, and then clamp this to your workpiece, and then it runs along that rail, perfectly straight line, as far down as you said it's cut. Brilliant, I use it all the time. I've raised this off the bench, you can see there's a bit of a gap. That's so I don't cut into the bench. It's literally simple as that. That's my measurement lengthways, but it's not quite enough that way, so I'm gonna have to do another cut, probably somewhere here, and then piece together the two and build it up, like basically add a few more bits onto the end. This whole plank is made up of small pieces. Tongue of one fits in the groove of the other. This is how lots of things like floorboards and things like that are all held together. It's a really good way. Well, here we go. This is a kind of midpoint, I guess. I'm getting there. You can see now, hopefully it makes a bit more sense. You can see in there, cleared out all the old tongues and grooves, so it's all lining up nicely. And I've just got 1, 2, 3 more bits to get out of all these sort of scrap bits all around the bench everywhere. All right, here we go. Now, all the pieces are cut, all the tongues and grooves lining up, it's all good. I've glued everything up with a really strong wood glue, and then I've got these clamps. As I'm twisting this handle, it's just closing them up, it's just squidging all these bits back together. So I've pulled it to the side of the bench, this really so I can clamp it down. So I can clamp it flat to the bench, all the way around. Stop it from twisting, and then these ones, that will mean I can really lean on these ones, because as I tighten these up, it's going to want to sort of bow in the middle, so I want to keep it nice and flat. Brilliant. That's about all I can do tonight, unfortunately. It's getting late in the day anyway, but that is now clamped up, all glued, clamped nicely to the bench, so hopefully when I come back in the morning, that's going to be dry, nice and flat, and then I can start sanding it. Morning everyone, hello. It's a new day in the workshop and my lockdown hair is getting longer and longer. Look at it, oh my goodness. I've had this board clamped down onto the bench now for maybe 2, I think it might even be 3 days now. It's just so cold in the workshop, the glue just wouldn't go off. I've been trying to heat it up, trying to warm it up. But the best thing is just to be patient. If I was to lift it up before the glue dried, I'd run the risk of it all start distorting and moving around. So I just thought, better be safe, delay it a little bit. It's now hopefully dry, so I'm going to unclamp it and see what it looks like. So this is it. Just trimmed around the edges and squared it all up. Really pleased. Look, it's nice and solid now. All those tongues and grooves holding up. Brilliant. I just need to decide now. This was supposed to be the back, but I quite like it. This was going to be the front. Obviously where I pieced it together, the colours are all funny, but I'm going to sand this off now. This side was the top when this was on a boat before, so this is the side that's more worn. I'll probably sand both sides, and we'll have a look later. Got my 4 pieces of oak cut now for my frame, and I don't want to just stick it to the outside edge. I'm actually going to, it is decorative, it's going to finish it off nicely, and there is definitely a decorative element to it, but I'm going to try and use it in a structural way as well. All I'm going to do is use the router to cut a little notch around the outside edge, and I'll do it on the edge and on the side of the new battens for the frame as well. And at the end I've sort of done that, made a little square. So that notch sits in there, nice. This notch sits in there, and then they both meet up. Bingo. Now the frame is all sanded down, the glue's dried, I've given it a quick sand. It's looking good, and I'm just finishing off here the stain. So this is, all I've done is put this stain on just the frame on the outside. Next step is to get some of this Osmo oil all on this surface. I'm actually going to go over the whole thing in this oil. It's going to seal it up and prepare it for me to paint. This has got to be the best bit of doing any woodwork job. That final oil, that final finish, it just brings out all of that. Look at that. Definitely a lot more work using reclaimed wood. But however hard you try, you cannot replicate decent, nice, old, naturally worn piece of oak. Beautiful. All right, my board is done. Looking good, I'm happy with that. This is the artwork. So this is the logo that I've got from the company. All I've done is crudely print it out on its bits of A4 paper, and that's all I've got, an A4 printer here, but that's fine, it's enough. You can tile the print. This is made up of 6 pieces of paper and I've just masking taped it together. The next task I've got is transferring this printout onto the board. And I want to make sure that all these elements of their logo stay exactly the same. So I'm not going to draw this freehand. All I'm going to do is flip this over. This is a really good technique actually if you ever do anything like this. And then this is just some normal bog standard artist, just charcoal. Scrub it on the back. All right, I think that'll do me. And then I can transfer this over. I'll spend some time now with a ruler, just making sure it's nice and straight, nice and even, and sitting nice and square. Now this is going to work like, do you remember those old school like receipt books where you got all the pack of receipts and then there was a sheet of carbon where you wrote the receipt out? You got like a duplicate. This is exactly the same principle. I've got a really nice sharp pencil. That's important because wherever the pressure of me putting this pencil down is going to transfer the pieces of charcoal onto the board. Okay, moment of truth, here we go. I'm always nervous at this point. I've just wasted my entire time and it hasn't actually transferred. It's a really rough texture, so obviously not all of the information is going to be transferred across. Here we go. Oh, I think there's enough there. I don't know if you can see that. So there's a bit there. Yeah, you can see that. Organic. So it's not an absolute painting by numbers, colouring in the lines, but there is enough there for me to start painting. Slightly worried my salmon is going to end up looking like a shark. These bits where it's chipped away, I'm trying to be a little bit clever and a bit subtle with where I put the paint, because obviously I'm trying to make this sign look old. When it would have been painted new, it would have been perfectly smooth. And these bits where it's worn away, there would be no paint there anymore. So I'm leaving out those bits for a bit of character. That's it, I've finished. I hope you like it. I'm really quite pleased with it. I think it's come out really well. Please do let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed watching this. I mean, it's something a bit different, but I'm getting up to all sorts of different things here in the workshop. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give me a like. If you want to see more of this, let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed it, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.